My name is Mira. I was 22 years old when this story began. I lived in Chennai with two friends. We shared a small flat in a busy area near the market. I had a small room, a small bed, and one cupboard that was always full and messy. My life was not perfect, but I was happy. Most days, I was a student. I studied English literature at a local college. I also worked part-time in a bookstore near the bus stop. I loved books. I loved reading and writing. One day, I wanted to write my own story. But more than that, I wanted to feel something special. I wanted something real. I wanted to feel love. That evening, I was sitting on my bed. My room was warm and quiet. I picked up my phone and sent a message. To a friend, it was a simple message. I asked, "Are you coming for dinner tonight?" But I made a mistake. I typed the wrong number. I sent the message to a stranger. The person replied after 2 minutes. He said, "Sorry, I think you sent this to the wrong number." I smiled. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. But maybe you should come for dinner anyway." I don't know why I said that. Maybe I was bored. Maybe I wanted to talk to someone. Maybe I just wanted a small story to tell. He replied with a funny message. He said, "I would love to, but I live in Delhi." I laughed. Then I asked his name. He said his name was Karen. He worked in a tech office in Delhi. He said, "I go to work, I sit in meetings, I write code, I drink coffee. Then I sleep, and I do the same thing the next day." I said, "You sound like a robot," he said, "and you sound like a storm." I laughed again. His reply was strange but sweet. We kept talking that night. It was not serious. It was light and funny. I did not feel nervous. He did not ask anything wrong. We just talked like old friends. The next day, I woke up and checked my phone. There was a message from Karen. He said, "Good morning, Mira. I hope you slept well." That small message made me smile. I replied, "Good morning. I slept okay. What about you?" That day we talked more. I told him about my college. I told him about the bookstore. He told me about his job and his friends. He liked reading poems, but he never shared them with anyone. I told him I wanted to write a book one day. He said, "One day I will read your book and say, I know this writer." Our messages continued every day. I liked talking to him. He made jokes when I was sad. He asked me about my day. He remembered small things. When I said, "My teacher was rude," he said, "You need a medal for best eye roller in Chennai." I laughed so hard. I felt free when I talked to him. I could say anything. I did not have to pretend. I could be myself. At that time, my life was not easy. My parents were fighting back home in Cane Bay. My friend in the flat wanted to move out. I was late on my rent. I felt alone. But when I talked to Kieran, I felt better. After 2 weeks, he asked if we could talk on the phone. I said yes. That night, I sat on the balcony with my phone. The sky was dark. There was a light wind. I called him. His voice was soft and nice. He asked about my day. I asked about his poems. We talked for 1 hour. Then we talked again the next night. And the night after that, every day I waited for his message. Every night I waited for his call. I was happy. My heart felt light. One night I asked him, "Do you believe in love?" He said, "No, I don't believe in love stories. They don't last." I was quiet. Then I said, "Maybe you don't believe because you never had one." After that, he was silent. He didn't speak for a minute. Then he said, "Maybe." 1 week later, he asked me a question. He said, "Can we meet?" My heart beat fast. I did not know what to say. But I said yes. He booked a flight to Chennai for the weekend. He said, "I will see you on Saturday." I felt nervous. I cleaned my room. I washed my hair. I looked at the one photo he sent me and hoped I would recognize him. On Saturday, I went to the airport. I stood near the gate. My heart was beating fast. Then I saw him. He was walking slowly. He was holding something in his hand. It was a small plant, a tiny green plant in a paper bag. He smiled and said, "For your balcony." It looked a little empty in your photos." I smiled too. I felt shy but happy. He was not very tall. He was not very handsome. But he looked kind. He looked real. He looked like someone I knew for a long time. I liked him. I liked his eyes. I liked his smile. We spent 2 days together. We walked near the sea. We sat on a bench and watched the waves. We ate street food. We drank coconut water. He told me stories. I laughed. I listened. He listened too. He did not try to impress me. He just wanted to know me. I liked that. I felt safe with him. I felt calm. When he left, I felt a little sad. I stood at the gate and watched him go. I did not cry. But I felt something in my chest. I felt like something small and special was leaving. After that weekend, we talked every day. Again, he sent me more messages. He sent me small poems. He sent songs he liked. He sent a pen drive full of music and letters, he wrote. "I like how your name sounds, Mirror." Like rain on a quiet day. I read that letter 5 times. I kept it in a box. I felt happy. I believed in the moment. I believed in this small love. Maybe it was not forever. But it was real, and that was enough for now. We made plans. Maybe we could go to UD one day. Maybe I could visit Delhi. Maybe we could live in the same city. Someday, he told his parents about me. I didn't tell mine. Not yet. I was scared. I was not ready. But I had hope. Then something began to change. I saw it before he did. The messages started to feel different. The calls felt too long. His jokes were the same. Laughed, but not always. I still liked him, but something in me was changing. I could not explain it. I started to reply late. I said I was busy. I spent more time with friends. I put my phone on silent. I still cared for him, but I was pulling away. I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want to say goodbye. But I also didn't want to lie. One night he asked, "Are we okay?" I said yes, but it was not the truth. I was scared. I was confused, and I didn't know what to do. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. After that night, I could not stop thinking. Karen asked me, "Are we okay?" And I told him yes, but inside I knew the answer was no. I was not feeling the same anymore. I did not know why. I could not explain it, but something had changed. When he called me, I still answered. When he sent a message, I still replied. But my heart was not there like before. I tried to tell myself that I was just tired. College was busy, my job was hard. My parents were still fighting back home. My friend was getting ready to leave the flat. I had so many things in my head. Maybe that was why I felt far. But deep down, I knew that was not the full reason. I still cared about Karen, but I was not excited to talk to him. I started to wait before replying. I looked at his messages, but did not open them right away. Sometimes I said I was busy when I was not. He noticed. I could hear it in his voice. He sounded quiet. He asked simple questions. "Are you okay?" Did I say something wrong? I told him no. I told him I was just tired. He said, "Take your time." "I'm here." That made me feel worse. He was still kind. He was still patient, but I felt bad for not feeling the same way. One day I sat on the floor in my room. I was alone. My phone was next to me. I picked it up and typed a message. I said, "I need time to think. I hope you understand." I stared at that message for a long time. I didn't want to hurt him, but I also didn't want to keep pretending. After a few minutes, I pressed send. Karen did not reply quickly. I waited, looking at the phone. I walked around the room, then came back to the bed. My hands felt cold. My chest felt tight. After 1 hour, he replied. It was one sentence. He wrote, "I'll wait no matter how long." I felt tears in my eyes. I cried that night. Not because I was angry, not because he was bad, but because I still loved him, and I didn't know what to do with that love. After that, we did not talk much. I stopped calling him. I stopped replying to his messages, but he did not stop. He kept sending small things, a song I liked, a photo of the plant he gave me, a joke he knew would make me smile. And then on my birthday, he sent me a letter, a real letter in an envelope. I looked at it for many days. I didn't open it. I was scared of what was inside. I was scared of his love. I was scared because I did not feel the same anymore. I started to focus on my college work. I started writing again. I applied for a writing job in Bangalore. I wanted to go to a new city and have a new life. I told myself that it was better this way. I said maybe this is the right time to move on. I tried to be busy every day. I worked. I cleaned. I walked outside. I filled my time with noise. One day I sat in a small cafe. It was near my college. I was drinking tea and writing in my notebook. At the next table, two girls were talking. One girl said something. She said, "People don't really wait. They just pretend they are okay." I stopped writing. I looked at the table. My hands began to shake. Because I knew the truth. Karen was not pretending. He was really waiting. It had been almost 3 months. I had not spoken to him. I had not said goodbye. I just stopped, but he was still there. He was still hopping. The next morning, I checked my mailbox. There was another letter from him. This time, I opened it. My hands were slow. My heart was full of fear. The letter was short. His handwriting was neat and soft. There were no questions. No anger, just one quiet line. He wrote, "I hope the world is being kind to you. I still believe our story had meaning." I did not cry. I just sat there holding the paper. My eyes were full. My heart was heavy. I put the letter in my drawer with the others. Soon, it was time to move to Bangalore. I got the writing job. I packed my books, my clothes, and the letters. I left Chennai with a small bag and a quiet heart. In Bangalore, everything was new. The roads were big. The people walked fast. I stayed in a small room. It had one table and one window. I started work. I wrote blog posts and edited short stories. But Karen was still with me. He was not there in the room, but he was there in my mind. He was in my heart. I went on a few dates in Bangalore. One boy liked music. One boy liked cooking. They were nice, but when I looked at them, I did not feel anything. I just remembered Karen. His soft voice, his simple jokes, his kind words, the way he listened, the way he made me feel safe. I started writing a new story. It was about two people who fall in love by mistake, but then they change. They move apart. One person waits. The other leaves. In every story I wrote, the man was like Karen. He waited. He wrote letters. He was kind even when it hurt. One day, I got an email from an old friend. The subject line made me stop. It said, "Kiran is in ICU. Road accident. Pray for him." I could not move. My eyes stayed on the screen. My hands were shaking. I opened the email. It was true. He had been in a car accident in Delhi. A truck hit him. His head was badly hurt. He was in the hospital. He was not awake. The doctors were not sure if he would live. I called the phone number in the email. A man answered. He said, "Yes, it is bad. He is in a coma. He may not wake up." I did not wait. I booked a flight to Delhi. I did not tell anyone. I packed a small bag and left. When I got to the hospital, it was cold and quiet. I saw his family. His sister, his father, two of his friends. They looked at me with tired eyes. I said, "My name is Mira." His sister stood up. She said, "He wrote about you in his notebook." "He loved you." I could not speak. I just sat down beside her. The nurse said I could go in for 5 minutes. I walked into the ICU. It was full of lights and machines. I saw him on the bed. His face was hurt. His body had many wires. I walked slowly. I stood beside him. I touched his hand. It was cold. I looked at his face. He was still. I whispered, "I'm here, Karen." He did not move. But something inside me moved. I felt something break. I knew then that I had been running not from him, but from myself. I had left him because I was scared. I thought love would hurt, but leaving him hurt more. I stood there in silence. I held his hand. I started to cry. I cried for the time we lost. I cried because I was late, but I was there now. And I would not leave. Karen stayed in the hospital. He did not wake up. The doctor said, "It will take time. We are trying our best." I came every morning. I sat near his bed. I read to him. I played soft songs. I told him small stories from my day. I hoped he could hear me. On the third day, I found the letters he wrote me. I had kept them in my bag. I read some of them aloud. His words were sweet and kind. I wanted him to know that I remembered everything. I held his hand while I read. On the fifth day, something happened. I was reading a line from his birthday letter, then I saw his fingers move just a little. I called the nurse. The nurse ran out to call the doctor. I stood there not breathing. I looked at his hand. It moved again. The doctor came in. He checked the machines. He checked Karen's eyes. Then he smiled. "He is waking up," the doctor said. "He is coming back slowly." I felt tears in my eyes. His sister came in. She started crying too. That night, Karen opened his eyes. He looked around. His eyes were not clear, but they were open. He looked at me. I smiled. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said my name, Mira. Just that one word, but it felt like the sky opened. The doctor said he needed rest. Karen could not speak much. His body was weak, but he knew who I was. He remembered me. That was enough for me. I sat with him every day. I gave him water. I helped him eat. I talked about simple things. One evening, I told him everything. I said, "I'm sorry I left. I was scared. I didn't know how to stay." Karen listened. He said nothing at first. Then he held my hand. He said, "You came back." That's enough. He stayed in the hospital for 6 weeks. His body healed slowly. He could walk again, but only with help. His memory was not perfect. Sometimes he forgot small things. But he was still Karen, still soft, still kind. After the hospital, he moved back to his parents' house. I found a room close by. I wanted to stay near him. I visited him. Every day, we sat on the balcony, we drank tea. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we were quiet. That was okay. He was not the same as before. But I was not the same either, and maybe that was fine. We had both changed. We did not rush anything. We did not say we are together now. We just spent time, one day at a time. One smile at a time. One afternoon, we sat under a tree. The sun was warm. He looked at me. He said, "You don't have to stay. I am not the same." I looked at his hand. There was a small scar. I touched it. Then I said, "You were never meant to stay the same. Neither was I. We built a quiet life. It was not full of big events, but it was soft and warm." I wrote again. He helped me check my words. He pointed out small mistakes. He liked to help. I liked to hear his thoughts. We were a team. Some days were hard. Karen got tired easily. He could not read long pages. He sometimes forgot names or places. At night, he had trouble sleeping. He looked at the ceiling for hours. I stayed next to him. I held his hand. One evening, he gave me a gift. It was a notebook wrapped in old paper. "I wrote this for you," he said, when I could still write more. I opened it. The first page had a short line. "You left, but you came back." I read all the pages. He wrote poems, memories, small thoughts. One page said, "Even pain is easier when you know someone still loves you." Another page said, "I don't need a perfect ending. I just want one that feels real." I closed the book and held it to my chest. It felt like gold. After 1 year, he asked me to move in. I said yes. I packed my books, my clothes, and my stories. We moved into a small flat. The walls were cream. The windows showed the sunset. It was simple, but it felt like home. We had a good routine. Morning tea, short walks, reading together. We didn't travel much. We didn't go to big events. But we were happy. The flat was quiet. The air was full of love. It was enough. Then one morning, something went wrong. Karen was in the bathroom. I heard a sound. I ran in. He was on the floor. I called for help. The ambulance came fast. In the hospital, the doctor said, "It is a problem from the old injury. It is serious." He had surgery again. I waited alone in the hospital. The nurse gave me a chair. I sat with the notebook in my hand. I opened the last page. It said, "If I go, tell them I went loving you." He lived, but this time he was not the same. His memory got worse. He forgot more things. He could not read well. He got confused in crowds. The doctor said, "Maybe it will get better, maybe it won't." We went home together. I helped him with everything. I told him where things were. I helped him dress. I read him his poems. I told him how we met. I told him our story again and again. Sometimes he remembered, sometimes he didn't. But he always smiled. One day he said, "I don't know if this is real or a dream, but it makes me happy." That was enough for me. Years passed. People asked me, "How do you stay so strong?" I didn't always have words, but I knew one thing: when someone gives you their heart, you must take care of it, even if it is broken. Even if it is tired, you don't leave. You stay. Karen passed away 3 years later. It was a quiet morning. The sky was soft. He was sitting by the window. He was holding his notebook. He looked like he was sleeping, but he was gone. I did not cry at once. I sat with him. I held his hand. I read his words. The page I loved most: "You came back." That's enough. I buried him with that notebook. Now I live in a small flat. I live alone. But every evening I open the window. I make tea. I read one of his letters, and I write too. I finished my novel. It is not perfect, but it is real. It is ours. I called it The Heart That Waited.